I never wanted to be a disappointment to my family, but according to Dr. Elizabeth Chen, my mother and CEO of Pacific Health Systems, that's exactly what I became the day I left medical school. The Chens had been doctors for 4 generations. Our family named Grace Hospital wings across 3 states. My brother Michael was already chief of surgery at 35. My sister Sarah was a rising star in cardiology. Then there was me, Rachel Chen, the failure who dared to dream differently. Another app? Really, Rachel? My mother's voice dripped with disdain as she studied the prototype on my laptop screen. We were sitting in her corner office on the 40th floor of Pacific Health's headquarters, the city skyline stretching behind her like a crown. You left Hawkins Medical School for this? I took a deep breath, trying to keep my voice steady. It's not just another app, Mom. It's an AI-powered diagnostic platform that could revolutionize how we detect early-stage diseases. The algorithm can. Enough. She held up one manicured hand. I didn't call you here to discuss your hobby. She practically spat the word. The annual charity gala is next week. The governor will be there, along with every major donor and board member. Your absence from the last 3 family events has been noticed. I've been working. Playing, she corrected sharply. While your siblings save lives, you play with computers. Do you know what it's like, having to explain to our colleagues why my youngest dropped out of medical school to become a— She wrinkled her nose. Programmer? Before I could defend myself, the office door burst open. Michael strode in, still wearing his surgical scrubs like a badge of honor. Mom, you won't believe what just— Oh, his face twisted into a smirk when he saw me. The prodigal sister returns, finally ready to admit this tech nonsense was a mistake. I stood up, gathering my laptop. My company just closed its seed funding round, $2 million from pocket change, Michael scoffed. I performed a $300,000 surgery this morning. But please tell us more about your little foam games. That's enough, Mom sighed, though her smile at Michael held nothing but pride. Rachel, you will attend the gala. Wear something appropriate. And please, when people ask what you do, try not to embarrass the family further. I left the office with my cheeks burning, their laughter following me to the elevator. They had no idea what I was building. No idea that while they were hosting galas and chasing accolades, I was creating something that could transform healthcare itself. But they would learn, sooner than they knew. The next week passed in a blur of code and coffee. My team, brilliant minds who left prestigious tech companies to join my vision, worked around the clock. Our AI diagnostic platform, HealthCore, was more than just an app. It was a system that could analyze thousands of data points from simple blood tests, identifying disease patterns that human doctors might miss. Early trials showed a 40% higher detection rate for certain cancers. But we needed more funding to scale, to get FDA approval, to roll out to hospitals. The seed round was just the beginning. What my family didn't know was that I had meetings lined up with major healthcare investment firms. Firms that could see the future I was building. The night of the gala arrived crisp and clear. Pacific Health had rented out the city's most exclusive hotel, crystal chandeliers casting elegant shadows across marble floors. I adjusted my simple black dress, feeling out of place among the designer gowns and tailored tuxedos. Rachel. Sarah's voice cut through the crowd. My sister appeared, champagne in hand, her diamond earrings catching the light. I didn't think you'd actually come. No hoodies available. She giggled at her own joke. Sarah, I nodded coolly. How's the cardiology department? Thriving. We just received a $10 million donation for new equipment. Not that you'd understand the importance of actual medical technology. She glanced around conspiratorially. Fair warning. Mom's been telling everyone you're taking a sabbatical to find yourself. Much better than admitting you've wasted your potential on some silly startup. Before I could respond, a hush fell over the crowd. Mom had taken the stage, elegant in midnight blue, every inch the powerful CEO. Welcome, distinguished guests. Tonight we celebrate Pacific Health's commitment to excellence. I tuned out the familiar speech, scanning the crowd instead. That's when I saw him, James Morrison, CEO of Aurora Capital, one of the largest healthcare investment firms in the country. He wasn't supposed to be here. Our meeting wasn't until next week. His eyes met mine across the room, and he nodded slightly. And now, Mom's voice cut through my thoughts, I'm proud to announce Pacific Health's most ambitious expansion yet. Under my son Michael's leadership, We will be opening 5 new hospitals across the West Coast. Applause erupted. Michael took the stage, his smile triumphant. Thank you, Mother. This $500 million expansion represents everything the Chen family stands for. Excellence in medicine, commitment to care, and most importantly, knowing what really matters in healthcare. His eyes found me in the crowd, challenge clear in his smirk. We don't need gimmicks or apps. We need real doctors, real hospitals, real solutions. More applause. I felt my face flush as several heads turned my way, whispering. Beside me, Sarah snickered into her champagne. What happened next would change everything. James Morrison walked up to the stage, his movement drawing all eyes. Dr. Chen, Michael, fascinating announcement. But I have some concerns about Pacific Health's ability to finance this expansion. The room went silent. Mom's smile faltered slightly. Mr. Morrison, I assure you our financials are solid. If Aurora Capital has doubts. Oh, I'm not here representing Aurora, James said pleasantly. I'm here because your board reached out to several firms about emergency funding. Your current debt-to-equity ratios are troubling. Michael stepped forward, face reddening. Now see here. Your last 3 quarters showed significant revenue decline, James continued. Your operating costs are unsustainable, and this expansion plan, it would bankrupt you within a year. Mom's face had gone pale. I don't know where you're getting your information, but from your own books, Dr. Chen. Books that show Pacific Health needs a major capital injection just to maintain current operations. Books that your board has been quietly shopping around to potential investors. The whispers grew louder. I saw several board members shifting uncomfortably. Sarah's champagne glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the marble floor. If you're quite finished, Mom's voice shook slightly. I don't appreciate. Actually, James smiled. I'm not finished. I came tonight to tell you that after careful review, Aurora Capital will not be offering emergency funding to Pacific Health. The room erupted in chaos. Board members huddled in corners, donors started edging toward the exits, and my mother, for the first time in my life, looked completely lost. However, James raised his voice above the din. Another firm has expressed interest in acquiring a controlling stake, one that specializes in healthcare innovation and digital transformation. He turned, looking directly at me. Miss Chen, would you like to tell your family about Quantum Health Partners? Every head in the room turned toward me. Michael's face went from red to white. Sarah's mouth fell open. And my mother, my proud, brilliant, dismissive mother, grabbed the podium for support. Because they finally realized what I'd been building all along. Not just an app, not just a company, but an entire network of healthcare innovation firms, funded by the billions I'd raised in secret over the past year. The family that had dismissed me was about to learn exactly what their failure could do. And this was just the beginning. The silence that followed James's words felt eternal. I could practically see the wheels turning in my family's minds as they processed what this meant. Mother still gripped the podium, her knuckles white against the polished wood. This is impossible, Michael finally sputtered, his surgical confidence evaporating. Rachel can barely code a website, let alone run a $12 billion investment firm. James finished for him, his smile sharp as a scalpel. Perhaps you should have paid more attention to what your sister was building instead of mocking her career choices. The ballroom had become a theater of whispers and pointing fingers. Board members who'd ignored me all evening suddenly found me fascinating. Donors who dismissed me as the family disappointment were frantically Googling my name on their phones. Mother finally found her voice. Rachel, she said, attempting to sound authoritative despite her obvious shock. We should discuss this privately. Family matters shouldn't be. Family matters. I couldn't help but laugh. Now you want privacy. After spending years publicly humiliating me? After tonight's performance, I walked toward the stage, each step deliberate. No, Mother. We'll discuss this right here, where everyone can see exactly who the Chen family really is. Sarah intercepted me, her designer bracelet jingling nervously. Rach, think about what you're doing. We can work something out. We're family. Family? I turned to address the crowd. Let me tell you about family. While my brother and sister were enjoying their cushy hospital positions, I was working 80-hour weeks building HealthCore. Our eye diagnostic platform has a 40% higher early detection rate for certain cancers. We're revolutionizing preventive care. But did my family ever ask about my work? No. They were too busy planning galas and counting donations. Michael stepped forward, his face thunderous. You engineered this whole thing. Waited until we announced the expansion to humiliate us. I engineered nothing. I cut him off. Your own mismanagement brought Pacific Health to its knees. The board reached out to every major investment firm in the country trying to save you. They all said no. Want to know why? I pulled out my phone, projecting financial charts onto the ballroom's giant screen. Your operating costs are 50% above industry standard. Your patient satisfaction scores have plummeted, and your resistance to implementing new technology has left you decades behind your competitors. The board members were nodding now. They'd seen these numbers, knew I was telling the truth. Mother's face had gone from pale to ashen. Quantum Health Partners, I continued, is offering to acquire a 51% stake in Pacific Health Systems. We'll streamline operations, modernize your technology, and integrate HealthCore's AI platform across all facilities. I paused, letting it sink in. Or you can refuse, and we'll watch your empire crumble within the year. Your choice. You can't do this, Mother's voice cracked. We're your family. Family? James stepped forward again. Dr. Chen, let me share some interesting emails we uncovered during our due diligence. He opened a folder. Here's one from you to the Hopkins Dean of Medicine, asking him to reject any tech-related research proposals from Rachel, and another warning other hospital CEOs not to work with HealthCore because, quote, my daughter's amateur experiments could damage your reputation. The gasps were audible. Mother's carefully crafted image of family unity was shattering like Sarah's champagne glass. There's more, James continued. Michael's attempts to block HealthCore's pilot programs. Sarah's calls to potential investors, spreading rumors about our technology. You really should be more careful with your email passwords. Michael lunged forward, but two board members held him back. You little snake, he hissed. Dad would be ashamed. Dad believed in innovation. I shot back. He saw the future of healthcare. Why do you think he encouraged my interest in technology? His notes and research formed the foundation of HealthCore's AI engine. That revelation hit Mother like a physical blow. Dad had been Pacific Health's head of research before his death 5 years ago. His loss had driven Mother to become even more controlling, more obsessed with the traditional Chen legacy. Speaking of Dad's research, I nodded to James, who pulled out another document. The board might be interested to know what really happened to his final research grant, the one that mysteriously disappeared after his death. Mother moved faster than I'd ever seen her, practically running to my side. Rachel, please, she whispered urgently. Not this. Think about what it would do to our reputation. I studied her face, the face that had dismissed me countless times, that had smiled coldly as I was belittled and mocked. You should have thought about that years ago. Turning back to the crowd, I continued. Dad's last project was developing an eye-assisted diagnostic protocol. He left all his research to me, knowing Mother would bury it to maintain her traditional medicine image. The grant money, all $5 million of it, disappeared the day after his funeral. Want to guess where it went? The board chairman stepped forward. Dr. Chen, is this true? Mother's silence was all the answer he needed. There's an emergency board meeting tomorrow at 9 a.m., he announced. I suggest everyone involved be there with full documentation. As the crowd began to disperse, buzzing with scandal, Michael grabbed my arm. You've destroyed us, he growled. Everything our family built? No, I pulled away. I'm saving Pacific Health. Whether you like it or not, healthcare is evolving. You can evolve with it, or you can become obsolete. That's your choice now. Sarah stood nearby, tears streaming down her face. What happens to us? That depends, I said quietly. Quantum will need skilled doctors to help implement our new systems. Doctors willing to embrace change, to put patients before pride. Think you can handle that? Before she could answer, James appeared at my side. Miss Chen, your helicopter is ready. We have that meeting in Singapore tomorrow. I saw Mother's eyes widen at this casual mention of my global business dealings. How much else didn't she know about her failure daughter? As I turned to leave, I heard her call out softly, Rachel, wait. I paused but didn't turn around. Your father, she whispered, He knew, didn't he? What you could become. He knew, I replied. He tried to tell you. You just couldn't hear anything that didn't fit your perfect plan. The click of my heels echoed through the now quiet ballroom as I walked away, leaving my family to contemplate the ruins of their empire and their assumptions about their youngest daughter. But tomorrow would bring even bigger surprises, because what I'd revealed tonight was just the tip of the iceberg. The real revolution was about to begin. The next morning dawned bright and clear, sunlight glinting off Pacific Health's glass tower as I walked into the emergency board meeting. I traded last night's evening wear for a crisp black suit, no designer labels, just impeccable tailoring. The kind of quiet power I'd learned spoke louder than flash. The boardroom was already full. 14 board members sat around the massive mahogany table, their faces grim. Mother occupied her usual seat at the head, looking like she aged a decade overnight. Michael and Sarah sat together, both unusually subdued. Now that we're all here, the board chairman began. Let's address the allegations from last night. Before we start, I interrupted smoothly, setting my laptop on the table. I'd like to share some additional information. I connected to the room's display system, bringing up a series of documents. These are the complete records of Dad's research, including his original aita diagnostic protocols. Mother's hands clenched in her lap. We don't meet toe. Yes, we do, I continued. Because what happened to Dad's research isn't just about the missing grant money. It's about the future he envisioned for Pacific Health. A future you actively suppressed. The screens filled with Dad's notes, his familiar handwriting detailing ideas that were years ahead of their time. 5 years ago, he predicted the exact challenges Pacific Health faces today. Rising costs, inefficient systems, inability to adapt to technological change. He had solutions for all of it. Solutions that couldn't possibly work. Michael interjected. I can't replace real medical expertise. No one's talking about replacement. I shot back. Dad understood what you never did. Technology should enhance medical expertise, not replace it. HealthCore doesn't make decisions for doctors. It gives them better tools to make their own decisions. I pulled up our latest trial results. We've been quietly piloting HealthCore in 3 major hospitals. Early detection rates are up 40%. Patient wait times down 60%. Cost per diagnosis reduced by 35%. The board members leaned forward, interest peaked. These were numbers they couldn't ignore. But that's not all. I continued, switching to a new document. Remember that Singapore meeting I mentioned last night? We just finalized a partnership with the largest healthcare group in Asia. They're implementing HealthCore across 400 facilities. Mother's head snapped up. She'd spent years trying to break into the Asian market. And here's the most interesting part. I pulled up one final document. The European Health Commission just granted HealthCore preliminary approval. We're looking at potential implementation in over 2,000 facilities across the EU. The room erupted in whispers. These weren't just good numbers. They were industry-changing numbers. So here's my real offer, I said into the stunned silence. Quantum Health Partners will acquire 51% of Pacific Health. Yes. But instead of just implementing HealthCore, we'll make Pacific Health our primary research and development center. Every new innovation, every breakthrough, it all starts here. I turned to my family. Michael, you're a brilliant surgeon. Imagine combining that skill with AI that can predict complications before they happen. Sarah, your cardiology research could be enhanced by pattern recognition across millions of cases. And Mom, I paused, meeting her eyes. You built Pacific Health into a regional power. Help me take it global. The board chairman cleared his throat. The numbers are compelling, but this would mean a complete restructuring of operations. Actually, James spoke up from the corner where he'd been quietly observing. We've already mapped out the transition plan. He distributed folders to each board member. Phase 1 begins with immediate technology upgrades. Phase 2 introduces HealthCore and stages. Phase 3 expands our research capabilities. Michael flipped through the plan, his doctor's precision noting every detail. This could actually work, he admitted reluctantly. Sarah was already scribbling notes. The cardiology applications alone. But I was watching Mother. She sat perfectly still, staring at Dad's research notes still displayed on the screen. Finally, she spoke. Your father, her voice was barely audible. He left all this to you. He left me a letter too, I said quietly, pulling out a worn envelope. Written the day before his heart attack. Would you like to hear what it says? She nodded slightly. The room fell silent as I began to read. My dearest Rachel, by the time you read this, the battle for Pacific Health's future will have begun. Your mother and siblings are brilliant doctors, but they're bound by tradition. You see what they can't. That medicine must evolve. Your mind works differently, sees patterns they miss. Don't let them diminish your vision. The core diagnostics we've been working on are just the beginning. Build on them. Perfect them. And when the time comes, save our family's legacy by dragging it into the future. I'm trusting you with everything because you're the only one who can do this. Love, Dad. Mother was crying silently now, tears tracking down her perfectly made-up face. All this time, she whispered, we thought we were protecting his legacy. You can still help build it, I said gently. The right way this time. The board voted unanimously to accept Quantum's offer. As papers were signed and hands shaked, I watched my family absorb the new reality. Michael approached first, doctor's pride warring with brotherly shame. I was wrong, he said stiffly. About you. About all of it. Prove it, I replied. Help me build something revolutionary. Sarah hugged me impulsively. Can I really be part of the research team? Lead it. I smiled. No one knows cardiology patterns better than you. Finally, Mother stood before me. For a long moment, she just studied my face, perhaps seeing me clearly for the first time. You did it, she said softly. You really did it. And we never even saw it coming. That was rather the point, I answered. She straightened her shoulders. Every inch the CEO, even in defeat. Well then, when do we start? 1 year later, Pacific Health had been transformed. HealthCore's AI systems were revolutionizing patient care across our network. Michael's surgical department was pioneering AI-assisted procedures. Sarah's cardiology research was making headlines. And Mother? She surprised everyone by throwing herself into the digital transformation, her business acumen helping smooth the transition. The annual charity gala became a showcase for healthcare innovation, not just social status. Standing in my father's old research lab, now the heart of our AI development center, I smiled at the photo on my desk. Dad grinning in his lab coat, a much younger me peering at his computer screen in fascination. He knew, even then, that true revolution doesn't always wear a white coat. Sometimes it comes in lines of code and patterns others miss, in the vision to see beyond tradition. Sometimes it comes from the person they least expect. The failed doctor had become the future of medicine, and this was just the beginning.